Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's look, I'm going to be doing a similar recreation of this one right here. Now it's going to be sort of simpler, but I'm going to be using two palettes today. You can always use one because for this one I just used the Glamlite Pizza palette. But I'm also going to be dipping into the GLF Cosmetics Princesa Azteca palette as well. So if you guys want to see how I did this, then please keep watching. And I also have a discount code with both, which is JDevsTV, and it'll save you a little bit of money, so just keep that in mind. The first thing I already did, like always, is I prime my eyelid with concealer, and I always use the Moira Cosmetics Mega Waterproof Concealer. I love this one because the quality is similar to that of the Tarte Shape Tape. And now picking up the all over shader brush. This one is by Lamora Beauty and it is stained. I just need to wash it again. But anyways, this one's the number 111, I believe. And if you know me already, I love these brushes. You can get them off of Amazon, and I'll link down below for you guys. This one's a little bit more dense, which is why I like to start off with it. So I'm going to be picking up that shade Pepperoni, and I'm just going to apply that directly on the outer corner. And with a soft hand as always and some dabbing motions, I'm just going to slowly drag it into the crease. And I love to build up colors, guys, so don't ever think that when I do these that the colors aren't pigmented. I always hold it at the end like this, and then I just slowly build it up because I don't want to apply too much at once, and then it's going to be very muddy and just hard to blend out. So I'm going to be picking up a little bit at a time as mentioned, and then I'm just going to build it up to the intensity that I want. And with small circular motions, I'm just going to drag it upwards. And this part, I'm going to wing it out, sort of. I don't want it to be round, I want it to be a little bit like a V. So here I'm taking a little bit more, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. Next, I'll be taking this brush by Glitter Realm Co, and it comes in a bundle set, which I will link down below for you guys as well. I do have a discount code with them also. I'm going to be picking up the lightest red in that GLF palette, and then I'm just going to buff out those harsh edges. And like I said, if you guys don't want to use both palettes, or if you just own one, then you can always just buff out this red with one of the pinks in the pizza palette, or just, you know, by itself. You'll make it work, guys. I know you can make it work. Next, I'll be taking this crease brush by Lamora Beauty, and I'm just going, it's clean. I'm just going to buff out that edge as well, just to make it a little bit more smoother. And as mentioned, this brush is clean. There's no additional product or anything on it. So I'm just going to go over this a few times to really give it that gradient look to it. And now I'm just going to deepen the crease up a little bit more and add some more of that shade Pepperoni to the middle. And here I'll be taking a little bit of Marinara from the pizza palette and just putting that in the outer corner, as well as dragging some in the crease just to deepen it up a little bit. And lastly, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure everything is nice and blended. Alright, now that we've reached this part, I'm going to show you how to do a half cut crease. Now, if this is your first time, I would recommend getting a brush with a wider base on it rather than a really tiny one. This is going to give you more area to cover at once rather than having to go back and forth with a smaller one. I believe with the smaller brush you'll have more room for error, so this will be a little bit easier to achieve it this way. Now, this brush is by the bundle from GLF Cosmetics, and the other one is by Zoeva. So I would also recommend taking a concealer with a thicker consistency to it. That way it's easier to stick rather than being a little bit more, you know, watered down, and it's going to transfer easier. I mean, you can always experiment with concealers. I could be wrong, guys, but I like to use one that is thicker. So now taking a little bit of product at a time, I'm going to start kind of in the front area because we're just going to do a half cut crease, so just remember that. And I like to mainly cover a good portion of the lid by dragging downwards. Now you see where my actual crease line is. I'm just going to go slightly above it, not too much right now, just by dragging down. Now it's going to be up to you how high you want to take it. All of our eyelids are different obviously, so different techniques are going to work differently for you. Just experiment and find what works best, you guys. I like to keep it parallel to my natural eyelid as possible as I can, and I want this cut crease to be visible when my eye is open. So next thing I like to do is I like to sort of look up, and you see how it gives me that guideline. I'm just going to fill in the areas with concealer and just perfect it from there. Just remember, you guys, practice will make perfect. I know I couldn't do cut creases at first, and it would take me hours, literally, on one look. I remember I was just getting so frustrated, but you'll eventually get it. You just remember to take small strokes at a time, be patient, and always drag down. Now the reason why I say to use a bigger tip brush is because you see you'll get more coverage this way rather than using a small brush. You'd have to use more strokes, and that leaves more of a chance of you making a mistake versus just doing this down. See, you got 1, 2, 3 versus you got it 1, 2, 3. It's just easier to do it with a bigger brush at first, and then just fill this in. Like so. And then what I always do, which is you can skip this step, you can perfect it with that big brush. I'm just gonna go clean it up with a smaller brush. And the small brush that I like to use to clean up the edges is a e.l.f. concealer brush, but I've used mine so many times already that it's pretty much flat. Now when you first buy it, it has a little bit of a thicker tip to it, so just keep that in mind as well. And as mentioned before, I'm going to keep it as parallel as I can to my actual crease line, and see how it is visible when my eye is open. I'm going to leave it about this height right here. And once you're happy with the shape of it, then when you get to this part, I like to smooth it out. You can use your finger or you can use a brush. Just be very careful that you don't transfer any of that concealer over to the eyeshadow. And the reason why I smooth out this edge is because it's going to give you a more seamless blend. And just remember, I'm not going to set this concealer. Once I'm done smoothing it out, I'm going to go directly in with another eyeshadow. Now taking a flat brush, I believe this is by Morphe, but there's no number on it, so I'm going to be picking up that gold shade in the GLF palette. Now if you don't have the GLF Cosmetics Princessa palette, then you can use that pineapple shade in the pizza palette, which I did for the first look. I just wanted this one to be a little bit more gold rather than yellow, but it's up to you guys. I'm just going to directly apply that on top of the concealer area, and I'm just going to slowly build up the shade and pack it on there. Now that I have applied it to about right here, I'm going to be taking, you can take a flat brush or whatever brush you want. I'm going to take that fluffy brush that we used in the beginning for that red, and I'm just going to dab it directly on top of this gold right here, just to sort of blend it together. And now I'm going to pick up a little bit of that shade Marinara, and I'm just going to dab it on top as well. And I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm just going to add a slight bit of that shade Meatballs. Here is sort of a little close-up action for you guys. Now with a small shader brush, I'm going to be taking that shade Pepperoni, and I'm going to apply that as close as I can to my lash line. And then I'm going to be taking a little bit of that shade Meatballs, and I'm going to apply that at the outer corner. Now for highlight, I'm using that white metallic in the Princesa Azteca palette, the It's Cali, I believe. Now I will be adding some mascara, and then for lashes today, I'm going to be using the ones by Lash Realm in the style Siren, which I do have a discount code called JDesTV with them. So this is the final look, you guys. I hope you're able to follow along with me. Let me know what else you would like to see in the near future. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed week, and we'll see you next time.